House of the Dragon Season 2 has officially ended, and we have a lot to talk about. The good, the bad, Season 3, and much more. But first, for those of you who don't know me, I am in love with the Game of Thrones universe, especially the books. They are my pride and my joy to the point where if I'm in a burning building, and I can only save my girlfriend or my best friend, I would run past both of them and pick up the Game of Thrones Season 4 DVD and run out of the house. That's how much I love this franchise. And I have to say, House of the Dragon Season 2, it is the definition of a mixed bag. There are episodes where I'm literally creaming my pants. And then there are episodes where I'm like, I just want to close my laptop and go play Fortnite. And I haven't even played Fortnite this year. And you got characters like Aemond, who I'm like, this man is so perfect. And then you have characters where I'm like, damn, I might break my TV if I see this person on again. But let's get into it. I just want to get the obvious one out of my chest right away. Season 2 of House of the Dragon is all build up. It's all foreplay. It's all just putting on the lubrication. The end of Season 2 is very similar to the end of Season 1. Instead of saying winter is coming, we now keep saying war is coming. So yeah, I just wanted to get that one out of the way because I want you to keep that in mind for the rest of the video. But let's talk about the good / greatness of Season 2 real quick. And it's pretty obvious what it is. It's Episode 4. Episode 4 made me feel things I haven't felt since I lost my virginity. It is a masterpiece of an episode. Episode 4 really felt like a dance of dragons. It's some stuff we were dying to see. It may have not been as good or as high stakes as like the Battle of Blackwater from Game of Thrones, but I would say this battle in House of the Dragon is definitely better than the Battle of the Bastards and 1000 times better than anything we've seen in Season 7 and Season 8 of Game of Thrones. And it's not just a battle. Like, you got Aegon who went to drunk dragon riding. Like, he just came back from work and is about to go home and beat his kids. There's some fantastic stuff. And the dialogue scenes and like the setup we got for this battle were also great. But that's all I'll say for this episode as of now, because I want to talk a little bit about the bad of the season. I'm gonna be honest, the bad has a lot to do with Daemon's arc. Daemon has this arc in Harrenhal where he's basically Tommy Shelby from Season 5 of Peaky Blinders, and he's just having hallucinations. And it's not the best writing, and it's an overwhelming amount of people who agree with me on this. Many fans of the show talked about Daemon's arc being the weakest point of the season, and they brought up some great points.
Overall, it kind of just felt like it was sleepwalking sometimes. For example, Daemon. Daemon basically does fuck all in Season 2. This guy has basically just been benched as like this, sidelined character that you tune in occasionally for him going through this perpetual bath salt trance. So he's in Harrenhal for the vast majority of this season. And it was always this back and forth of, is he going to betray Rhaenyra? Like, what are his actual intentions? Oh, he wants it for himself. He's always coveted the crown, this and that. But it's so boring.
Daemon's arc isn't bad. In fact, I really enjoyed his conclusion in the last episode. There are times where Daemon being in Harrenhal and constantly going on a bad weed trip is pretty entertaining. I love seeing Viserys and young Rhaenyra, but it's just too stretched out. If his arc just happened in 2 episodes, it would have been great, because other shows have done this. Like I said, Tommy Shelby from Peaky Blinders, he also has hallucinations for like 2 seasons, and it's only a small part of his story, but you still get the point across, and you can still have some amazing peak hallucination moments. But with Daemon, his hallucinations are way too much. They're almost like the main event, and it's not worth an entire story. Like, they really just should have been a side story. It should have been like Daemon fighting on his dragon, and he randomly gets hallucinations. That would have been what we wanted. But instead, the main event of like Daemon scenes is a scene where he's like banging his mom. Even Alabama doesn't go that far. But the main reason why Daemon's arc wasn't good is because this is Daemon, goddamn Targaryen we are talking about here.
You've only ever tried to send me away to the Vale, to the City Watch. Anywhere but by your side. 10 years you've been king, and yet not once have you asked me to be your hand.
Why would I do that?
Because I'm your brother. And the blood of the dragon runs thick.
Then why do you cut me so deep?
I've only ever spoken the truth. I see Otto Hightower for what he is.
An unwavering and loyal
A
hand.
cunt.
This doesn't work with Daemon's character. I honestly think that if Rhaenyra had some hallucinations or like Alicent, I don't think anyone would complain. But this is Daemon Targaryen we are talking about. This is the guy who has so much risk even his own niece wouldn't say no. Daemon in season 1 was a war-hungry bipolar maniac. You can tell he wanted to fight and go to war. And then when war starts, he instead checks into rehab at Harrenhal. Like when his queen Rhaenyra is losing the war, Daemon is like, you know what? I think it's a great time to renovate Harrenhal. And this dude starts playing Minecraft while his family's getting mauled out there. But yeah, I have to be honest, that last episodes that Daemon had his visions were amazing. We got to see the three-eyed raven, the white walkers, and the mother of dragons, which literally sent chills down my spine. That was really cool. I already know those 14-year-olds on TikTok would use that scene to confirm that Dany is the prince who was promised and use it to hate on Jon Snow. Like, touch some grass, man. But the other stuff you have to talk about is Team Black versus Team Green. Now, at the end of season 1, I was a diehard on Team Black. It wasn't because I thought they were much more entertaining, both sides were equally entertaining, but because I liked the Team Black characters more, and obviously, you know, Black Lives Matter, I went to Team Black. But in season 2, it's a night and day difference. The Team Green characters really come close to being like the entertaining Lannisters from Game of Thrones, where every time there's a Team Green scene, it feels like I'm watching an episode of Big Brother like another reality TV show. But every time it goes to Team Black, or at least most of the time, it's the most boring conversations. Like, Team Black is just too professional, and Team Green feels like a high school drama group chat. Like, it's a truly night and day difference. And it's sad because at the end of season 1, Rhaenyra was my favorite character, and Daemon was probably 2 or 3. But season 2 made Rhaenyra the most boring wet fart imaginable for like the majority of the season. And again, it's not just me who thinks this.
But then there's moments where it's just kind of in this like dull limbo, where it just feels like nothing is really happening. For example, Rhaenyra this season spends most of it in a state of reacting to information as opposed to doing stuff. Like, she is constantly in this like turmoil where she wants to be more active, but everyone tells her not to. So then it leads to her just staying in the castle mostly, and then responding to stuff that's going on occasionally. And sometimes she does go on her own, and that's when things get moved forward sometimes, like when she rides on her dragon to meet a mysterious dragon rider. And then that leads to a whole plan that nobody ever thought of before, which was cool. And I would have liked to see more things like that.
I said before, I feel like what they did to Rhaenyra is exactly what they did to Tyrion in Game of Thrones, where both Rhaenyra and Tyrion were like the faces of the show and the fan favorites. And the writer saw this, so instead of giving Tyrion his villain arc, or giving Rhaenyra great characteristics, they instead just try to keep them as likable as possible and have them really just do nothing. I understand Rhaenyra being a woman and being told not to do nothing is a part of her story, but that doesn't make it entertaining, so it just doesn't matter if I'm honest. Rhaenyra did have some cool scenes. I really enjoyed her reaction with her new dragon riders, but overall I'm very disappointed in her character. But then when you look at Team Green, Aemond and Aegon are literally non-stop entertainment. Aemond especially. Aegon is kinda absent for like the back half of the season because he's injured, so that makes sense. But Aemond, he is one of the only characters that kept up the momentum from season 1. Everything he does is just an entertaining evolution of season 1 Aemond, and I love it. I also love the two sides of evil we have here. Aegon is evil because he's like a dumb, drunk, abusive assaulter, and Aemond is evil because he's using his very optimized and hard-working mindset most of the time, but he doesn't care who he hurts. And you can tell that he has some trouble going on in his head.
And you? You'll be dead. You were swallowed up in the god's eye, and you were never seen again.
I could have you killed.
It wouldn't change anything.
I'm not saying that because Aemond has a gigantic cock that made me feel insecure. It's just the facts. But I also really enjoyed Blood and Cheese. I don't think it's anywhere near like the Red Wedding like people said, but I really liked it. I also really enjoyed the fight of the twins, even though I wish they were kind of flushed out a bit more. But the one thing I absolutely hated about this season was Rhaenyra and Alicent being the most dumbest people imaginable. Rhaenyra literally dressed up as a monk. Yes, a monk. Just like Assassin's Creed 1 Altair. And she walks in and talks to the queen like it was nothing. This is literally Game of Thrones season 8 level bad. It's literally a worse version of the scene of Jaime and Tyrion meeting in season 7 of Game of Thrones.
Today might be the day I kill you by accident.
Oh, you won't be swinging it at me. I'll leave you to it.
It's just really terrible, honestly. Alicent can literally keep Rhaenyra hostage, and the war ends. That's literally what happened to Theon and the Greyjoys during Game of Thrones, where Theon is the hostage of peace. But no, Alicent just lets her go because of, you know, reasons, and the war continues. And then in episode 8, Alicent meets Rhaenyra, and same thing. Like, you're telling me you could have sent like a secret raven to each other or something? Like, really? This is war, not hide and go seek. Just really bad writing, man. And also you just feel terrible for George who wrote the books. He's seeing all of his shows having some of the worst scenes in television history.
I just don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience for me, and I don't like any of you.
But overall, House of the Dragon Season 2, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. My mind is telling me 6.5 out of 10, but my body's telling me to give it a 7. Because I do think when we rewatch Season 2, I do think it'll be better because of the insane expectations are not going to be there anymore. It's just going to be normal expectations that are a bit low. Because Season 1 perfection did kind of cloud us a little bit. So I'm going to stick with a 7 out of 10, which is sad because as a book reader, I have a hard time even watching Season 5 and Season 6 of Game of Thrones. But I'm going to be honest, I would much rather watch Game of Thrones Season 6 than Season 2 of House of the Dragon. Which is something that I never thought I would say because House of the Dragon has source material. And Season 6 of Game of Thrones came out of these two goobers' minds. But overall, a 7 out of 10 is what it gets from me. And yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and peace.